Open Banking are in the process of finalising API and security specifications describing functionality 9 major banks in the UK must make available in January 2018. It's likely UK authorities will endorse Open Banking as the means to satisfy overlapping PSD2 regulatory requirements, something that will affect most banks and many other financial services organisations. We're in the process of developing a demonstration of how the components of the ForgeRock identity platform can fit into the open banking flows. The first part we'd like to present is the onboarding of a third-party provider OAuth client to an account servicing payment service provider, or bank to you and me. Open Banking will provide an API to its directory that generates a software statement assertion for a TPP. But it's not available just yet, so we've written an app that generates the SSA and incorporates it into an OAuth client registration request. Here, we've provided a subset of OAuth client metadata that you can modify if you wish. The exception being the client name, as this is the value we've used to generate the SSL certificate being used for mutual TLS and has been checked as per the Open Banking security profile. We'll go ahead and change the client ID and click Generate. If we scroll up, you can see we've now got an OAuth client request jot. We can copy that to the clipboard and paste it into a jot decoder. You see the client ID, test client, and things like scopes, grant types, as well as the software statement assertion jot. Let's copy the software statement and decode that too. Inside we can see the rest of the OAuth metadata, such as the redirect URIs. Okay, now we've got the OAuth dynamic client registration request ready, we need to send it to the relevant endpoint. Feel free to use our endpoint, but by changing this to the URL of your implementation, you can easily test things are working. Let's click Register, and we receive the client ID and secret that the TPP is going to use to obtain OAuth tokens to interact with the bank. So what ForgeRock tech was involved there? Firstly, our identity gateway is retrieving the subject DN from the TLS certificate and is passing this and the registration request to identity management. IM checks the cert subject is the same as the client name and will also be configured to call the Open Banking REST API to validate the SSA when that's available. IN generates managed objects for the TPP, SSA and OAuth client profile, which we can now take a look at. If we click Manage and scroll to the OAuth client, we can see the newly generated object representing the client profile. Notice it's linked to the corresponding software assertion, which we can click on to view the data from the SSA, such as the redirect URIs and a link back to the client profile. Banks that choose to provide a GUI for client onboarding could also use this functionality and leverage ForgeRock Access Management to facilitate OIDC federated authentication of the TPP technical contact by Open Banking. So in IM we have a way to manage TPPs, client metadata, SSAs and the relationships between them, as well as a way to orchestrate validation workflow. However, it's ForgeRock AM that's going to be acting as the OAuth server, and IM calls an AM REST API to register the client so that it can do just that. If we go to ForgeRock AM and navigate to OAuth clients, we can see our new client profile. And we're able to click through and view all of the configuration data. Right, I guess we better prove the OAuth client works. We can do that using curl to send the client ID and secret to our OAuth2 access token endpoint, which then returns the access token.